We begin with the U.S. taking aim at the heart of Russia's economy. Live look at the White House, where President Biden announced a ban on imports of Russian oil, gas, and coal into the U.S. It comes as the humanitarian crisis is growing. The UN now says 2 million people have now fled Ukraine since the start of the Russian invasion. And the U.S. is rejecting an offer from Poland to transfer fighter jets to U.S. control so they can be passed on to Ukraine. The Pentagon saying it has serious concerns about that proposal.
We have team coverage on the move to block Russia's top export, including what it means for us in the Bay Area. We begin with CBS reporter Natalie Brand in Washington with the very latest. Natalie.
Ryan, Liz, President Biden today with his announcement says he is taking aim at the main artery of Russia's economy. And the move announced today follows growing support for this bipartisan bill that had been working through Congress. It also follows growing public support for the move.
The U.S. is now the first Western country to ban Russian energy imports in response to the invasion of Ukraine.
Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine.
The United Kingdom followed by announcing it will phase out use of Russian oil by the end of the year, though it's not yet known whether other European nations will take a similar step. Europe relies on Russia for about 40% of its energy supply, compared to the U.S., which depends on the country for less than 10% of its oil imports.
This is a step that we're taking to inflict further pain on Putin. But there will be cost as well here in the United States.
As gas prices continue to soar to record levels, President Biden has vowed to do what he can to soften the economic impact, while also warning energy companies not to price gouge.
A new poll shows a majority of Americans support the ban, and there's bipartisan support on Capitol Hill.
I think it's important to deprive Russia of that income.
It's a very significant step to take to show the support that we have for Ukraine.
But the director of national intelligence told a House panel international sanctions combined with Ukraine's military resistance may not be enough to stop Moscow.
Putin is unlikely to be deterred by such setbacks and instead may escalate.
Hours after a Russian airstrike, a temporary ceasefire allowed some civilians to escape the city of Sumy in northeast Ukraine through a humanitarian corridor.
And Natalie, we recently learned that Congress will soon pass a funding package that will send billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. So where does that stand as of now, and how much money exactly are we talking about?
Ryan, that is the hope by congressional leaders, both House Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Schumer, to get this passed this week. And the Senate Majority Leader, speaking to reporters today, says that the proposed price tag has actually increased to more than $12 billion now. The White House had requested $10 billion in assistance for both humanitarian and defense aid. That price tag now increasing. This could be part of a larger omnibus funding bill. But again, both sides, both Republicans and Democrats, realize the urgency around getting this done as soon as possible. Ryan.
Thank you, Natalie Brand, reporting live from the White House this evening.
The Bay Area is home to several refineries. Chopper 5 showing the oil tankers offloading shipments. Now, none of this oil comes from Russia. But KPIX 5's Devin Feely reports we'll still be feeling the impact at the pump.
Banning the import of Russian oil and gas is a double-edged sword. It will undoubtedly hurt the Russian economy, but it's also likely to result in higher gas prices here at home. The United States imports just under 700,000 barrels of oil from Russia a day, 245 million a year. That's roughly 8% of our total oil imports, and turning off that spigot, especially if our allies pitch in, will drive prices higher.
This alone is not going to be disruptive. The bigger issue is, are we going to take steps to more broadly disrupt Russian oil sales?
According to the state, California doesn't get oil from Russia, but that's unlikely to insulate consumers from price spikes at the pump. The price per gallon's been going up even before the invasion officially began, from $90 a month ago to $120 today. And analysts caution it could climb as high as $200 a barrel.
It does cost us something to impose these costs on Russia. So that is the price of war, of economic war.
The White House says it will ramp up domestic oil production, and some have suggested urging countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Venezuela to help. But others warn that strategy has its own hidden costs.
None of those countries is a friend of the United States, and we shouldn't kid ourselves that they are.
In the meantime, that leaves drivers feeling the pain and wondering when they'll finally get some relief at the pump.
I think it would have been best if we've done that in conjunction of something else to mitigate the pain that we feel. Right? Because if we're paying for all this, what are we doing so we're not paying as much as we, really have to?
The president had been somewhat hesitant to take this step because, frankly, we don't buy that much oil overall from Russia. And the fear was that the impact on Putin and the Russian economy might be negligible, but the political backlash here at home could be great. In San Jose, Devin Feely, KPIX 5.